The last thing really remembered before the world turned to fire was the sound of her commander screaming coordinates into the failing navigation system. Then came the impact. Metal tearing, glass shattering, bodies thrown against walls. The emergency foam deployed too late, covering everything in thick white substance that hardened around broken limbs and crushed consoles. The ship hit ground, bounced, hit again, and finally stopped with a groan that sounded almost alive. Really opened her eyes to darkness and pain. She was Peloran, a species built for the gentle gravity and thin atmosphere of their homeworld. Her bones were light. Her skin was pale blue and sensitive to harsh light. Her eyes, large and black, were designed for the dim conditions of underground cities. Nothing about her was made for this. She pushed through the emergency foam with trembling hands. Around her, the survey vessel was destroyed. Consoles sparked and died. Emergency lights flickered red, then went dark completely. She called out for the others. Commander Brell, Navigator Toss, Engineers Minda and Kel. Her mentor, Professor Dan, and O1 answered. It took her 3 hours to find them all. 3 hours of crawling through wreckage, following the fading heat signatures on her scanner. 3 hours of confirming what she already knew. She was alone, really sat among the bodies of her crew and allowed herself exactly 100 heartbeats of grief. This was the Peloran way. Feel the pain, acknowledge it, then continue. She gathered what supplies she could find. Emergency rations for 72 hours. A medical scanner with 40% charge. A damaged translator unit that buzzed and clicked when she activated it. A small energy pistol that might fire 3 shots before dying. The ship's distress beacon was crushed under a collapsed bulkhead, but she dug it out anyway. Maybe she could repair it. Maybe. Then she opened the emergency hatch and stepped outside. The planet tried to kill her immediately. The air hit her lungs like liquid fire. Too much oxygen. Her people breathed a mix that was mostly nitrogen with just a touch of oxygen for cellular function. This atmosphere was nearly a quarter oxygen. She could feel it burning through her blood, making her hearts race, making her thoughts scatter. She would adapt eventually, her body compensating, but for now, every breath was an exercise in controlled panic. The gravity was worse. Her home world had gentle gravity, about 60% of galactic standard. This planet was one full standard unit, maybe more. Every step felt like walking through water. Her bones ached. Her muscles screamed. A Peloran could survive this, but not comfortably. Never comfortably. She consulted her scanner, and her heart sank even further. Class 7 Deathworld. The designation appeared in cold text on her screen. Extreme biodiversity. Apex predators in every ecosystem. Hostile flora and fauna. No known successful colonization attempts. Recommendation: avoid at all costs. Too late for that advice now. The scanner showed life signs everywhere. Large creatures in the forest ahead. Smaller ones underground. Flying things above. Everything registered as a potential threat. Everything had teeth or claws or poison or all three. This planet was not just hostile to Peloran life. It was hostile to all life. And yet life here thrived. It didn't just survive. It fought and competed and evolved into endless forms of violence. Really made camp in the shadow of the crashed ship. She didn't dare venture far. The local star was too bright for her eyes, and when it set, the darkness was absolute. She huddled against the wreckage and listened to the sounds of the night. Screams and roars and calls she couldn't identify. Things hunting, things dying, things being born into a world that would try to kill them from their first breath. She slept in short bursts, her scanner set to alert her if anything approached on the second night. She saw it, a light in the distance. Not bioluminescence. She had cataloged plenty of that already. This was different. This was orange and flickering. This moved with purpose. This was controlled. Fire. Something on this death world had learned to use fire. Her scientific training warred with her survival instincts. Fire meant intelligence. Fire meant tool use. Fire meant a sapient species, something she could potentially communicate with, trade with, negotiate with for protection. fire also meant danger. Any species smart enough to control flame on a class. Seven World was smart enough to be truly dangerous. They would be predators. They had to be. Nothing survived here without being able to kill. Really watched the distant light for a long time. It didn't move. A camp, then. A settlement of some kind. Whoever or whatever had made that fire was staying put. She had a choice. Stay with the wreckage and hope the distress beacon could be repaired. Wait for rescue that might never come. Die slowly as her rations ran out and the death world closed in around her, or follow the fire. Find the intelligence that made it. Take her chances with predators who could think. She was a scientist. She had trained for first contact scenarios, though always with the assumption that she would have a ship, a crew, backup, weapons, escape routes. She had none of those things now. She had only herself and her scanner and her dying translator. But she also had curiosity, the great Paloran drive that had pushed her species into space in the first place. The need to know, the hunger to understand. What kind of creature survives a death world and learns to make fire? Really packed her supplies, checked her scanner one final time, and began walking toward the light. 3 massive reptiles blocked the path ahead, each one larger than the crashed survey ship. Really pressed herself against a tree trunk and tried to stop breathing. Her scanner had warned her about the creatures, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality of them. They stood on 2 legs with small arms and heads full of teeth. Their eyes swept the forest, searching for movement, searching for prey. She was prey now. Everything on this planet was prey to something. The creatures moved past without seeing her. Purelak. She waited until her scanner confirmed they were gone, then continued forward on shaking legs. The fire was closer now. She could smell smoke mixing with the thick scent of the forest. The journey took most of the night. She moved slowly, stopping at every sound, hiding from every shadow. Twice she had to climb trees to avoid ground predators. Once she nearly stepped on something coiled and hissing that her scanner identified as extremely venomous. The death world was testing her, and she was barely passing. Dawn was breaking when she found the clearing. It was small, maybe 20 body lengths across, surrounded by thick vegetation. Someone had cleared it deliberately, cutting back the plants and piling them at the edges. In the center was a structure made of bent branches and large leaves. Not sophisticated, but clearly intentional. A shelter, dried meat hung from wooden frames. Stone tools lay scattered near a circle of rocks that contained the remains of a fire. Bones were stacked in one corner, cleaned and organized by size. Someone lived here. Someone alone. Then she saw the creature. It emerged from the shelter at the first light of the sun. Bipedal, like really, but taller and heavier. Its skin was brown and smooth, lacking the scales or fur of most Deathworld species. It wore animal hides tied around its body. Its hands had 5 digits each, clearly designed for gripping and manipulation. Tool-making hands. But the face was what held really frozen in place. Forward-facing eyes, the mark of a predator. A nose and mouth arranged for biting and tearing. It looked like something designed to hunt, to kill, to dominate. That IT saw her. That Riley's hand went to her energy pistol. 3 shots, maybe enough to wound this creature, probably not enough to kill it. She calculated distances and angles, knowing already that she couldn't win this encounter through violence. The creature tilted its head. It studied her with those predator eyes, taking in her blue skin, her large black eyes, her trembling hands. Its expression shifted in ways Riley couldn't read. Was it angry? Curious? Hungry? Then it did something impossible. IT sat down. Right there, next to the dead fire, it simply sat. It made no aggressive moves. It didn't reach for any weapons. It just sat and watched her, as if waiting to see what she would do. Riley's scientific mind raced through possibilities. Territorial display? No, those usually involved making oneself larger. Submission? No, the creature's posture was relaxed, confident. Invitation? Could it be an invitation? The creature gestured with one hand. A slow, deliberate movement toward the fire pit. Then it pointed at Riley. Then back at the fire. Come. Seat. The meaning was clear even without a shared language. Every survival instinct really possessed screamed at her to run. This was a predator. This was a Deathworld native. This was exactly the kind of thing that ate soft, fragile Pelorans, but she had nowhere to run to. Her ship was destroyed. Her crew was dead. Her rations would last perhaps 2 more days if she stretched them. This creature, whatever it was, had food and shelter and fire. It had survived here. If really wanted to survive, she needed to understand how. She stepped into the clearing. The creature watched her approach but didn't move. Up close, Riley could see details she had missed before. Scars on the creature's arms and legs, marks of old wounds, calluses on its hands from working with tools, lines around its eyes that suggested age or stress or both. This was not a young creature. This was a survivor. Riley sat across the fire pit from the predator, keeping as much distance as she dared. They stared at each other in silence. Then the creature reached into a pouch at its side and pulled out a piece of dried meat. It tore the meat in half and held one piece out toward Riley food. It was offering food that Riley's scanner beeped a warning. The meat was from a local animal, potentially dangerous to her system, full of proteins and compounds her body might not process correctly. She took it anyway. The creature made a sound, a pattern of tones that might have been words. Riley's translator clicked and buzzed, trying to find meaning in the noise. It failed. Too little data. But it was recording, learning, building a foundation for communication. Riley pointed at herself. "Riley," she said slowly. The creature repeated the sound, mangling it slightly but recognizable. Then it pointed at itself and made another sound. "Da-da." Riley tried to say it. Her mouth was not designed for the sounds this creature made, but she came close enough. Dara nodded, apparently satisfied. They sat together as the sun rose higher, sharing meat, exchanging sounds, beginning the long, slow process of understanding each other. Riley didn't know what Dara was. Her scanner classified the species as unknown, no match in any database. A new sapient species on a world that should have killed everything with a spark of intelligence. Impossible. Wonderful. Terrifying. But one thing was clear already. Whatever Dara was, she was willing to share her fire with a stranger. And on a death world, that might just be enough to survive. 12 sunrises had passed since Riley walked into the clearing, and she was still alive. This fact amazed her more with each passing day. She should be dead. Everything about this planet wanted her dead. The air was too rich. The gravity was too strong. The predators were too numerous. And yet here she was sitting by a fire, watching Dara scrape flesh from a fresh hide with a stone tool. The translator was working better now. Not perfectly, but enough. It had learned maybe 300 words of Dara's language, enough for simple conversations, enough to understand basic needs. Dara had been separated from her tribe during a hunt. She said this matter-of-factly, without self-pity. The tribe had gone north following herds of large animals. Dara had fallen into a ravine, chasing smaller prey. By the time she climbed out, her people were gone. She had been alone for 2 full seasons before Riley arrived. 2 seasons. Alone. On a death world, Riley's respect for this strange predator species grew deeper every day. "Eat this," Dara said, holding out a handful of small red fruits. "Good. Sweet." Riley scanned them first. She always scanned everything. The fruits are safe, mostly water and simple sugars. She ate them carefully, her body still adjusting to local foods. Some things made her sick. Others her stomach simply refused. But slowly, painfully, she was learning what she could consume. Dara had taught her so much already. Which water sources were clean and which carried invisible poisons. Which plants could be eaten raw and which needed fire to make them safe. How to move through the forest without attracting attention. How to read the sounds of the night, distinguishing between dangers and background noise. In return, Riley had offered her technology. Most of it was useless now, batteries dead or components damaged. But the medical scanner still worked, and 3 days ago it had saved Dara's life. The wound had seemed small. A cut on Dara's forearm from a thorn, barely worth noticing. But the scanner detected something wrong. Infection. Bacteria multiplying in the flesh, spreading poison through the blood. Left untreated, it would have killed Dara within days. Really had nothing that could cure the infection directly. Her medical supplies were designed for Pelorm biology, not this unknown species. But she had knowledge. She showed Dara how to cut open the wound and drain the infected material. She identified plants in the forest with natural properties that might fight the bacteria. Together, they had treated the wound, cleaned it, wrapped it in fresh leaves that Dara's fever broke on the second night. She slept deeply for 12 hours while Riley kept watch over her, energy pistol in hand, ready to fight off anything that came near. When Dara woke, she looked at Riley differently. Something had changed between them. Some barrier had fallen. Now, watching Dara work on the hide, Riley pulled out her recorder and continued her observations. She had started documenting everything, first for survival, then out of pure scientific wonder. This species, these humans as Dara called them, were unlike anything in the galactic records. They were endurance predators. Riley had watched Dara chase a small animal across open ground for nearly an hour. The animal was faster in short bursts, but Dara never stopped. She jogged and walked and jogged again, always following, always closing the distance. Eventually, the animal simply collapsed from exhaustion. Dara killed it with a single blow from a stone tool. Other species hunted like this. Most predators relied on ambush or overwhelming speed. Humans ran their prey to death through pure persistence. It was terrifying and impressive in equal measure. They regulated temperature through their skin. Riley had noticed Dara's body producing water that evaporated in the air, cooling her down. This sweating, as Dara called it, allowed her to remain active in heat that would have killed most species. She could function in cold and heat alike, adapting to conditions that would be fatal to Pelorans. They ate everything. Plants, animals, insects, fungi. Things that would poison other species, humans consumed and processed and survived. Their digestive systems were like chemical processing plants, breaking down almost any organic matter into usable energy. They healed faster than should be possible. The infected wound on Dara's arm was already closing, new skin growing over the damage. Riley's scanner estimated full recovery in perhaps 10 days. A similar wound on a Peloran would take months to heal, if it healed at all. And most remarkable of all, they bonded. Riley had seen it in how Dara spoke of her tribe. The pain of separation. The constant wondering about their safety. Dara had been alone for 2 seasons, but she still considered herself part of something larger. She still belonged. And now, impossibly, she seemed to include Riley in that belonging. "You think too much," Dara said, not looking up from her work. Her vocabulary was growing too, picking up simple Peloran words that Riley taught her. Head always moving, always worrying. "My people believe thinking keeps us alive," Riley replied. Dara made a sound that the translator interpreted as amusement. "Fire keeps us alive. Food keeps us alive. Friends keep us alive. Thinking helps, but thinking alone." She shook her head. "Thinking alone makes you slow, makes you scared, makes you alone. Friends." The translator had struggled with that word at first, unsure of the concept. Riley's people had colleagues and allies and family bonds. But friends seemed different. Chosen connection, deliberate attachment. Dara looked up and met Riley's eyes. Those predator eyes that had terrified her at first contact now seemed warm, welcoming. "You're not alone anymore," Dara said simply. "You are with me. I will teach you to live here. You will teach me your sky words. Together we are stronger than alone." Riley felt something shift in her chest, a warmth that had nothing to do with the fire. Together, she agreed. Somewhere in the forest, something roared. Dara's head turned instantly, tracking the sound, calculating distance and direction. Then she relaxed and returned to her work. "Far away," she said. "Not tonight. Not tonight." But eventually, the predators would come. And when they did, Riley would see exactly what these humans were capable of. The smell hit them first. Rotting meat and something sharp, acidic. Dara stopped walking immediately, her body going tense, her eyes scanning the tree line. They had been gathering water from a stream half a morning's walk from camp. Riley's containers were full, and she was tired, ready to return. But Dara wasn't moving. "What is it?" Riley asked quietly. "Pack hunters." Dara's voice was barely a whisper. "4, maybe 5. Downwind from us. They know we are here." Riley's scanner confirmed it. Multiple large heat signatures moving through the forest, spreading out in a pattern that suggested coordination. Intelligence. Strategy. "Can we run?" Dara shook her head slowly. "They're faster, and they're between us and camp." "Then what do we do?" Dara reached down and picked up a thick branch. She tested its weight, swung it once, nodded to herself. Then she pointed toward a rocky outcrop nearby. "There, backs against stone. They cannot surround us." They moved quickly but carefully. Riley could hear the pack hunters now, low growls and clicking sounds that might have been communication. They were closing in, tightening the circle. The creatures were each about twice Dara's size, covered in rough gray hide, with jaws that could crush bone. Dara positioned herself in front of the rocks. She found 2 more sturdy branches, drove them into the ground to create barriers, and gathered loose stones into a pile at her feet. "Stay behind me," she said. "I can help," Riley replied, drawing her energy pistol. "I have 3 shots. Save them. Only shoot if one gets past me." The first pack hunter appeared at the edge of the clearing. It was testing them, Riley realized. Watching how they reacted. Looking for weakness, Dara did something unexpected. She shouted. The sound was enormous, far louder than Riley thought possible from creature Dara's size. It echoed off the rocks and trees, filling the forest with noise. Dara beat her branch against a rock, adding to the chaos. She stamped her feet. She made herself look larger, arms spread wide, voice never stopping. The pack hunter hesitated. "They're used to prey that runs," Dara explained between shouts. "Prey that hides. We are not running. We are not hiding." This confuses them. A second hunter appeared, then a third. They circled at a distance, communicating in those clicking sounds. Riley could see them, trying to understand what they were facing. Dara grabbed a burning branch from a small fire she had somehow started while Riley wasn't watching. She swung it in wide arcs, creating trails of smoke and ember. Fire, the ultimate tool, the thing that separated humans from everything else on this death world. The pack hunters retreated further. Fire was something they understood. Fire meant danger. For a moment, Riley thought it was over. The predators would leave, find easier prey, forget about the strange pair by the rocks. Then one of them charged. IT came from the side, faster than Riley's eyes could track. A blur of gray hide and white teeth aimed directly at the gap in Dara's defenses. Dara moved. Riley had seen humans move before, but never like this. Dara's entire body twisted, bringing the burning branch around in a perfect arc that connected with the hunter's snout. The creature screamed and veered away, smoke rising from singed flesh, but it had been a distraction. 2 more hunters came from the other side. Dara caught one with a thrown stone that hit hard enough to stagger it. The other got through. Its jaws closed on Dara's shoulder, teeth sinking into flesh. Blood sprayed across the rocks. Dara didn't scream. She dropped the branch, grabbed the hunter's head with both hands, and simply pulled. The creature's grip loosened as she forced its jaws apart. Then she drove her thumbs into its eyes. The pack hunter released her and fled, howling in pain and blindness. Riley raised her pistol, but the remaining hunters were already retreating. They had learned. This prey fought back. This prey hurt them. The calculation had changed. Dara stood panting, blood running down her arm, watching until the last hunter disappeared into the forest. Then she sat down hard. "Let me see," Riley said, already activating her medical scanner. The wound was bad. Deep punctures from the teeth, torn muscle, potential damage to the joint. A Peloran would die from this. Would simply go into shock and stop functioning. Dara gritted her teeth as Riley examined her. "How bad?" "Very bad. You need treatment. Real treatment, not just plants and cleaning. Then we treat it." Dara's voice was strained but steady. "You know things. Sky medicine. Use it." Riley worked through the night. She used everything she had. The last of her wound sealant, designed for blue Peloran skin but better than nothing. Strips of cloth boiled clean. A paste made from the plants Dara had shown her. The ones that fought infection. By morning, Dara's fever was high, but stable. She drifted in and out of consciousness, sometimes speaking in her own language, sometimes trying to say Peloran words. During one clear moment, she looked at Riley and asked a question. Why did you not run? When the hunters came, you could have run. Left me. Riley considered the question carefully. She thought about survival instincts and logical calculations, and the simple fact that she probably couldn't survive alone anyway. But that wasn't why. You protected me, she said simply. You put yourself between me and the hunters. You got hurt because you were protecting me. Dara smiled weakly. You are my tribe now. The words hit really harder than she expected. My tribe. Such a simple concept. Such a profound gift. This human, this predator from a death world, had looked at an alien stranger and decided she belonged. Rest, Riley said softly. I will watch. Nothing will hurt you while I watch. Dara's eyes closed. Her breathing steadied. Outside the shelter, Riley sat with the energy pistol in her hand and 2 shots remaining, and she kept her promise. The distress beacon hummed to life in Riley's hands, and she felt nothing but dread. She had been working on it for 20 days. Salvaging parts from the crashed ship. Rewiring damaged circuits with tools made from stone and bone and scavenged metal. Dara had helped where she could, holding components steady while Riley made delicate connections, keeping watch while Riley lost herself in the work. Now it was done. The beacon was sending a signal into the void, screaming for rescue across the empty darkness between stars. Rescue would come. Someone would hear. Peloran ships patrolled this sector regularly, and a distress beacon from a lost survey vessel would draw immediate attention. 0.6 planetary rotations. Maybe less. Help was coming. Riley should have been happy. She should have been celebrating. Instead, she sat by the evening fire and watched Dara cook meat over the flames, and she felt something heavy settling in her chest. Your sky friends will come, Dara said. It wasn't a question. She had seen Riley's reaction when the beacon activated. She understood what it meant. Yes. Soon. That is good. Dara's voice was neutral. Controlled. You will be safe. You will go home. Home. Riley thought about Pellar, with its gentle gravity and dim skies and underground cities full of her people. She thought about clean air and proper food and medical facilities and soft beds. She thought about never seeing Dara again. Come with me, she said suddenly. Dara looked up from the fire. Her shoulder was healing well, the scars forming thick and pink across her brown skin. She would carry those marks forever, a reminder of a night she fought predators to protect an alien stranger. Come to the sky. Yes, my people want to study you, to understand. You could see things no human has ever seen. Stars and worlds and wonders beyond imagining. Dara was quiet for a long time. She stared at the fire, thinking in that slow, careful way she had. My tribe is out there, she finally said. Somewhere in this land. I do not know if they live. I do not know if I will ever find them. But they are my people. This is my world. It is trying to kill you every day. Yes. Dara smiled. And I am still here. My mother was here. Her mother before her. We are part of this place. The land shapes us, and we shape the land. Really understood. She hated understanding, but she did. Then I will make sure you are protected, she said. That night, while Dara slept, Riley activated her recorder and began composing the most important document of her scientific career. She started with basic observations. Species classification, physical characteristics, habitat and diet and behavior patterns. Standard survey material that any xenobiologist would expect. Then she went further. She documented human endurance, their ability to chase prey across distances that would kill most species. She recorded their temperature regulation, their healing speed, their dietary flexibility. She noted their tool use and language and social structures. But the core of her report was something else entirely. She wrote about the night Dara shared food with a terrified alien. She described how Dara taught her survival skills, asking nothing in return. She recorded the moment when pack hunters attacked, and Dara put her own body between danger and a stranger she had known for less than a moon cycle. She wrote about tribe, about belonging, about the human ability to look at something different and strange and threatening and decide that it was worth protecting anyway. This species, really argued, qualified for galactic protected status under Article 7 of the Charter. They had tool use. They had language. They had social cooperation. They had culture. They had compassion. She laid out a recommendation clearly. Earth must be classified as a non-contact world. No intervention. No exploitation. No well-meaning uplift programs that would destroy human culture before it could mature naturally. Let them develop in peace. Let them reach the stars on their own terms, because someday they would reach the stars. Really was certain of it. This species had survived a Class 7 death world. They had conquered fire and language and cooperation. Nothing would stop them. And when they finally looked up at the night sky and decided to climb toward it, the galaxy needed to be ready to in the morning. Dara gave her a gift. It was small, carved from a piece of bone. Two figures standing together by a simple triangular shape that represented fire. The carving was rough, made with stone tools and patience, but the meaning was clear to us. Together. So you will remember, Dara said. Really held the carving carefully, feeling the smooth bone against her fingers. Such a simple thing. Such a profound thing. I will remember, she promised. I will make sure everyone remembers. For more rotations until rescue. For more days of sitting by the fire, learning new words, sharing stories through their broken shared language. For more days of belonging to something larger than herself. Really looked up at the sky, where, somewhere far away, her people were coming to take her home. She thought about everything she had learned on this death world. About survival and persistence and the strange, fierce warmth of human friendship. The galaxy wasn't ready for humans. But thanks to her report, maybe it would be. The rescue ship landed in a clearing half a day's walk from the camp, burning away vegetation with its descent thrusters. Commander Sess emerged first, his pale blue skin almost glowing in the harsh light of this foreign sun. Behind him came a team of armed guards, their weapons drawn, their eyes scanning the hostile forest for threats. Really stood waiting for them. Dara hung back at the tree line, watching from a distance, her hand resting on the stone knife at her belt. Researcher Really, Sess said, his voice tight with relief and something else. Concern. Suspicion. We feared you dead with the others. How did you survive? I had help. Sess followed her gaze to the figure lurking at the edge of the clearing. His eyes widened. His hand moved toward his sidearm. Get behind me. There's a predator. She is not a predator. Well, she is, but she is not a threat. Really stepped between Sess and Dara. She saved my life. Multiple times. She gave me food and shelter and protection. Her name is Dara. Sess stared at her like she had lost her mind. Perhaps she had. Perhaps this death world had changed her in ways she didn't fully understand yet. That thing is a Class 7 native. Do you understand what that means? It evolved here. It is adapted to kill. She is adapted to survive. There's a difference. One of the guards raised his weapon. Dara tensed, but didn't move. She was watching Really, trusting her to handle this situation. Lower your weapons, Really said. Now, researcher Really, you are clearly suffering from trauma and possible psychological damage. We will get you to a medical facility and I am invoking Article 7. The words hung in the air. Sess went very still. What did you say? Article 7 of the Galactic Charter. Any species demonstrating tool use, language, and social cooperation must be granted protected status and full non-interference protocols. Really pulled out her recorder and held it up. I have extensive documentation. This species qualifies. This planet must be designated a non-contact world. Sess looked at her, then at Dara, then back at her. You cannot be serious. Look at this place. Look at what lives here. These creatures are dangerous beyond measure. Yes, they are. They evolve on a world that should have killed them 1,000 times over, and instead they thrived. They develop tools and language and art. They form communities and care for their young and protect their friends. Really paused. She fought off pack hunters to save me. She nearly died protecting an alien she had known for less than a season. What does that tell you about her species? It tells me they are unstable, irrational. They form attachments that cloud their judgment. They form bonds, deep bonds, loyal bonds, bonds that cross boundaries of species and logic and self-preservation. Really step closer to the commander. The galaxy is full of species that are strong, species that are smart, species that are dangerous. How many species are dangerous and kind? How many would fight for a stranger? Sess had no answer. Imagine them with ships, really continued. Imagine them reaching out to the stars the way we did. They would find allies everywhere. They would adopt species the way they adopted me. They would protect the weak and fight the cruel and never stop until everyone was part of their tribe. Or they would conquer everything in their path. They might. I will not lie to you, Commander. I do not know what humans will become, but I know what Dara is. She is good. She is brave. She is everything I wish my own people were. Really held out the bone carving, the two figures by the fire. She made this for me, so I would remember, so I would not forget what it felt like to belong. Sess was quiet for a long time. His guards waited, weapons still half raised, watching the primitive creature at the edge of the clearing with fear in their eyes. Finally, Sess took a deep breath. Show me your documentation. They reviewed everything right there, in the shadow of the rescue ship. Riley's observations, her recordings, her analysis of human biology and culture and potential. Sess asked sharp questions and received careful answers. He was thorough and professional and clearly disturbed by what he was hearing that in the end, he made his decision. Protected status granted. This world is now classified as a non-contact planet. All records will be sealed for 500 standard years. No one will come here. No one will interfere. Riley felt something release in her chest. Relief. Gratitude. Hope. Thank you, Commander. Sess looked past her to where Dara still waited, patient and watchful. Does she understand what you have done for her species? No, and I cannot explain it to her. But someday, when her descendants look up at the stars and wonder what is out there, they will have the chance to find out for themselves. The goodbye was hard. Riley walked to the tree line where Dara stood. They looked at each other, these two impossible friends, and neither knew what to say. I have to go now, Riley finally managed. My people are taking me home. Dara nodded. She reached out and touched Riley's face gently, a gesture of connection, of affection. You will fly among the stars, Dara said. You will see wonders. I already have. Dara smiled. That warm human smile that Riley had come to treasure. Goodbye, Sky Friend. Be safe. Be strong. Remember. I will remember, Riley promised. I will always remember. She walked back to the ship without looking back. If she looked back, she would not be able to leave. The ship rose into the sky, leaving the death world behind below, standing alone in a clearing. A human woman watched it go. She did not understand where her strange blue friend had gone. She did not know that her species had just been given the greatest gift in the galaxy, the chance to grow in peace. She knew only that the sky was vast and full of light, and that somewhere up there, someone remembered her. In the Paloran archives, buried deep in classified files, a single entry waited for the day it would finally be needed. Species, human. Status, protected. Classification, Deathworld Apex Cooperative. Threat level, extreme. Recommendation, when they reach the stars, welcome them as friends. They have so much to teach us about what it means to belong.